Okay. Good day and welcome. And today we're going to be working to stretch and strengthen our shoulders. And part of the class we'll be using a strap, but this could also be a belt, a scarf, a tie, or you could improvise if you don't have those things and just work along in a similar motion. Also, if you have hard blocks, that could work well, or something soft to sit upon. We're going to start seated. You could also sit in a chair if you have, a chair nearby, wherever you feel most comfortable. Okay, so find a moment to settle into your seat and find length through your spine. And let's try to set up our spine at neutral. So first, rock your pelvis forward and back a couple times until you arrive at a space right in between. And then lift up gently through the center of your chest. Hug your shoulder blades towards each other so you feel open across your chest, but then allow some of that energy to relax so your shoulders can descend down and away from your ears. Bring your hands to rest on your legs, and then lift up through the back of your neck and the back edges of your ears, and up through the top of your head. Okay, take a slow inhale in through your nose, and then a long exhale. Okay, then close your mouth and continue to breathe deeply. Let's work into full yogic breathing. When you breathe in, breathe towards your belly first and let the breath rise up towards your chest. And then when you breathe out, slowly out through your nose, let your chest and belly settle down. Back to the inhale, into your belly, up, up, up towards your chest. And then the exhale, moving slowly out through your nose. Take a couple more of those at your own pace. Stay lifted through the top of your head. Turn your gaze over your left shoulder. Stay here while you breathe in next time. When you exhale, bring your chin down towards the center of your chest, tracing a quarter circle. And when you inhale, draw your chin over your right shoulder. And then when you exhale, roll your head back down to center. Inhale to come up towards the left. So that is the pattern. And go through this movement for a few more breaths. With no rush, when your chin is at center next time, allow your head to get a little more heavy so the back of your neck is open, and glide the bottom tips of your shoulder blades down your back so there's a bit more tension in your neck. Now lift your hands, take your fingertips lightly to the back of your head, keep your elbows wide, and when you inhale next time, lift through the center of your chest, bring your head up and press your head back into your hands. Then when you exhale, bring your head back down so your fingertips are light. When you inhale, lift up and bring a bit of pressure between your head and hands. And then when you exhale, bring your head back down. Okay, so a few more times. We're keeping the rest of our spine fairly neutral through the movement. So you're not really coming into a back bend and forward bend through your spine. Instead, just exploring the flexion and extension of your neck and upper back. Okay. And the next time your head comes down, just let your hands come down as well, and then lift your head back up. Now let's keep our neck still and move down into the shoulders. So draw your shoulders forward and then up, and then roll them back and down. Let's take this a few more times. You can just go at your own pace. And to explore the full range of motion, you may find that you round your upper back a little and then open through your chest. So there is some movement carried through into your spine. Next time your shoulders come down, let's simply reverse the direction. So roll your shoulders back first, up, and then forward, and then down. And the next time your shoulders settle down, let them rest there. And then open up your eyes and let's come off our seat. Come to your hands and knees. You're welcome to pad your knees with a blanket or soft blocks if you have them. Spread your fingers apart from each other. And then try to find a neutral spine, very much like you had from sitting. Support it by lifting your lower belly up towards your spine. Now as you inhale, roll your shoulders away from your ears so your neck feels a little longer. And when you exhale, move your hips back and lift your shoulders up towards your ears. And then as you inhale, move your chest forward, shoulders back, and with the exhale, the opposite way. Again, move at your own pace. And try as much as you can to keep your lower back and middle back still. So the movement is mostly in your shoulders. There's going to be a little bit of a reflection elsewhere, but minimized. Okay, and then move to a neutral spine. Now bring your hips back slightly and walk your hands forward. We're coming into a pose called downward facing puppy. It's kind of like child's pose, but your hips stay lifted higher. So as your head comes down, you create a downward slope through your upper body. You're welcome to take a block or a book underneath your forehead, and that can give you some support. If you'd prefer to come into a greater shoulder stretch, then you can go without the block and let your chest and your head come down closer to the mat. And then some of you with fairly open shoulders may wish to raise your hands, and that's going to create a little bit more extension through your upper back and shoulders too. Okay, so let's take a couple slow breaths in your variation of the pose. Okay. And then lift your head, walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. Okay, find a neutral spine again and roll your shoulders away from your ears. Now move your weight into your right hand and bring your left elbow up and point your left fingertips forward. So we'd call this kind of like a robot arm. Now as you inhale, open your left elbow out to the side so it becomes more like a cactus arm. And then when you exhale, bring your elbow back down. Again, an inhale to open wide out to the side, and an exhale back down. Now, if you'd like to add a leg movement, as you inhale, extend your right leg back as your left elbow moves wide, and then exhale, bend your knee and bring your elbow down. Let's do 3 more. Steady with your breath. 2 more. And then 1 more time. Now place your hand and knee down to the mat. Move your knees wider to child's pose with a side body stretch. So let your hips settle down, lean forward, and walk your hands towards the right. So you're creating some extra stretch through your upper back on the left side and your left shoulder, the left side of your waist. You can place your forehead on your right fist or let your body settle down lower to the mat. Okay, let's take a slow breath in. And a long breath out. Okay, and then lift your head. Come back up to your hands and knees. So we're going to take this forth into a lunge. If you'd like to bring your hands onto blocks to help you out, go ahead. Now step your left foot forward up towards your left hand. You can wiggle out your stride if you have room in your body to do that, and then bring your left knee over your heel. Push down through your left foot and lift your upper body. Bring your right hand to your right hip and just let your left palm settle onto your left knee. Now we're going to take some upright shoulder circles with our left arm. So as you breathe in, draw your left fingertips forward and up. And then slow on the exhale, open your chest a little to the left so you can make a long sweeping arc through the back of the circle. Yeah, moving with your breath over and around. We're going to do about 5 in all. Stay really firm with your left foot as it presses down into the mat. So you can be more steady through your hips, more steady through the movement of your upper body. Okay, so when your arm comes down next time, lean forward, bring your hands down, tuck your right toes under and lift your right knee up. So we're going to hold a runner's lunge with more emphasis doing through our upper body. So do roll your left hip back and hug your right hip forward. But then as you press down through your hands, roll your shoulders back and try to draw your chest forward. So you're nice and long through your upper spine. And you can stay with your hands down certainly, and if you wish you can bring your right knee back down. If you feel okay to push down through your left foot and take your fingertips forward, it can be a little ways, it can be further, or you can bring your upper arm bones by your ears. Okay, so we're adding more heat. Make sure your breath is there to support you. Let's take one more steady inhale. And then as you exhale, lower your hands, lower your back knee, and bring your left knee by your right knee. Take your hands down, so we're on all fours again, and then either walk your knees back or walk your hands forward so there's more space between your hands and knees. And then move your chest forward until your shoulders are more or less over your wrists. This is low plank pose. If you wish, you can tuck your toes and lift your knees, adding a little more fire. Just as we did from the runner's lunge, roll your shoulders back, lengthen the center of your chest forward. Stay with the pose as you breathe in. But as you exhale, bend your elbows and slowly lower down to the mat onto your belly. Okay, now when you arrive, take your left elbow open towards the left. Bring your palm down to the mat or to the floor, but keep your left elbow lifted. And then push down through your right hand and slowly roll onto your left side. So as you do this, you may need to walk your left hand a little wider, but as you roll onto your side, then let your left elbow come down. So we're stretching out the left side of the chest and shoulder. And if you'd like a little more support so you don't feel you're going to roll onto your stomach again, you can bend your knees out ahead of your hips. And so the support of your thigh bones will keep you from rolling in. Take nice deep breaths into your left shoulder, the left side of your chest. If you've bent your knees, extend your legs out, roll slowly onto your stomach, and then push back up to your hands and your knees. Okay, so we're going to take this to the other side. Starting from your hands and knees, shift your weight into your left hand. Lift your right hand, so your elbow's underneath your shoulder, a robot arm. As you inhale, take your right elbow wide out to the side, so you're using your upper back. And then when you exhale, bring your elbow back down. Again, with the inhale, draw your elbow wide. And with the exhale, lower. Okay, so you can keep it in motion of your arm alone or also extend your left leg as you inhale. And when you exhale, bend your left knee as your right elbow comes down. Let's do this 3 more times. So bring your knee and your hand down. Take your knees a little wider. Settle your hips back. Child's pose with a side body stretch. So walk over towards the left this time as you extend out through your right arm and settle your upper body down. You can place your forehead on your left fist or let your head come closer to the mat. Let's take one more slow breath into the side of your body. Then lift your head, come back up to your hands and knees. So if you wish, you can bring your hands onto blocks as we'll be working with a lunge. Step your right foot forward this time. If you'd like to wiggle out your stride a little bit further, if you have space for that, go ahead. Bring your right knee over your right heel and then push down through your right foot. Lift your upper body. Bring your left hand to your left hip, your right hand to your right thigh. Now as you breathe in, reach your right fingertips forward and up. And as you do, open a little to the right. With the exhale, trace the second half of the circle back and down. Okay, so let's do 5 more. In typical fashion, I lose count because I just get into the feelings of it. So let's just circle around one more time. And then lean forward and bring your hands down. Blocks are the ground. Tuck your left toes and lift your left knee. To set up your hips with greatest stability, roll your right hip back. Hug your left inner thigh forward. Push down through your right foot and bring the center of your chest forward. Slide your shoulder blades down your back. And here you can stay with the help of your arms on the ground, active in your upper back, or if you feel okay to bring your fingertips off the block and reach forward, that can be a little reach, or it can be an extension with your upper arm bones by your ears. Make sure you're not holding your breath. Let's take one more slow inhale. Okay. As you exhale, lower your hands and then bring your left knee down to the mat also. Take your right knee by your left knee and then bring your hands down off the blocks underneath your shoulders. Now create a little more space so your knees can move back or your hands can move forward. Spread your fingers and then bring your chest forward so your shoulders are over your wrists and roll your shoulders back. Let's stay here while you breathe in. But as you exhale, bend your elbows and lower down onto your stomach. Okay, take your right elbow wide off to the right. Bring your palm down ahead of your elbow. Keep your elbow lifted because it's likely going to move wider to the right. Push down through your left hand, roll your right side. Adjust your right hand, maybe it does need to move wider too, but then place your right elbow down. So you're moving into an opening of the right side of your chest and right shoulder. And if you feel you're going to roll onto your stomach, again, you can bend your knees, just simply like you're lying sideways in a chair. Take your knees ahead of your hips. And take deep breaths into the right side of your ribs. Now slowly extend your legs back and roll onto your stomach. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. As you push away from the ground, you can go back to child's pose or lift up to downward facing dog. Yeah, so wherever you feel best. And if you're meeting downward facing dog, feel free to add some movement. So this can be walking your heels towards the ground a few times or giving your head a gentle rock side to side. We're going to move into another lunge again, a lunge with your left foot. If you're comfortable taking that from down dog, step your left foot forward, or if you're in child's pose, come back up to your hands and your knees. Now here we'll use the strap, so if you can grab a hold of that with your right hand, and once you're in a lunge with your left foot forward, tuck your right toes under, your back toes, lift your right knee off the mat, and create a warrior one shape with your back leg by pinning your right heel down. And then lift your upper body. Turn or stay turned towards the front of your mat, and let's take our hands on the strap. So take your hands on the strap or the belt just a little bit wider than your shoulders, so you give yourself a bit of extra space. So when you bring your arms out ahead of you, your knuckles are more open than your shoulders. Lunge your left knee over your left heel, stay strong with the foundation of your back foot, and then lift your arms up. So this may be more than enough lifting your arms up. You can use the strap to create some tension to hold your arms this way. You're also welcome to bend your elbows a bit and then draw your elbows back further and your hands back a little further too. And let the weight of your arms be held by the friction of your hands onto the strap. Lengthen down through your tailbone, up through the center of your chest, and you're even welcome to create a little bit of a lean back to open even further through your chest. Make sure that you're still breathing. One more. Great. And then bring the strap up and overhead, down ahead of you. Carefully lift your right heel off the mat and settle your right knee back down. So that could be onto a soft block or the mat itself. The strap can go off to the side for a moment. Take your arms out ahead of you and cross your left elbow over your right elbow. Lift your fingertips up, and you can wrap your hands around each other if that works, or bring your hands onto your shoulders. Eagle arms. Now try to settle down through your shoulders, down through your hips, but lift up through your elbows. And if you want to add a little more stretch, the stretch comes more prominently onto your left side left shoulder as your arms are now. So you can bring your chin down towards your right shoulder to open up your neck and upper back, even a little more on the left side. If you lowered your chin, bring it back up to center. Unwrap your arms, lean forward, bring your hands down. Either return to your hands and knees for child's pose or step back, downward facing dog. And take a few breaths to reset through your hips, your thighs, your shoulders, your upper back. If you're in child's pose, you can begin from your hands and knees for the other side. If you're comfortable from down dog, step your right foot forward up towards your right hand. And now the strap can go in your left hand. Tuck your left toes under, lift your left knee up, and then spin your left heel down to the ground. Lift your upper body. We're coming up to a warrior one shape, so stay facing the front of the room. Take the strap into your hands again, just a little wider than your shoulders. We'll do just the same thing. Lengthen down through your tailbone, lift up through the center of your chest. And this may be more than enough with your hands ahead of your shoulders or above your shoulders. You're also welcome to put a little bend in your elbows, just a little bend so you can add a bit of rotation in your upper arm bones and draw your elbows back further. And then reset the pose, strong through your feet, a downward direction through your tailbone, an upward lift through your chest, and maybe a little lean back. And then lift the strap up over your head, down ahead of you. And then lift your left heel up and very carefully place your left knee down to the mat again. Okay, there can be a block underneath your left knee too, or a cushion. Now take your arms out ahead of you. This time cross your right elbow over your left elbow, eagle arms. This can be winding your arms around each other or bring your hands to your shoulders. Try to draw your shoulders down, your hips down, but lift up through your elbows, lift up through your fingertips. And on the side, if you'd like to bring a little more stretch through the right side of your neck and upper back, that comes by drawing your chin down towards your left shoulder. And then lift your head back up. Unwind your arms. Bring your hands down to the inside of your right foot. Bring your right knee by your left knee. And we're simply going to slide onto our seat. So bring one hip down and then take your legs out ahead of you. Place a right angle bend at your knees so the soles of your feet can come onto the mat. And we're going to come into two actions. Actually, first, I'm just feeling in the body still. My right hip is feeling the last pose. So lean back your hand and move your knees side to side a few times. My hair artist. Irony. Okay, so bring your knees back up. Two motions for the spine and our upper back. Walk your heels a little bit closer if you have space, and then take your hands onto your kneecaps. As you breathe in, lift through the center of your chest. Then as you exhale, round through your spine, lean back into the tension of your upper back. Let your shoulders touch each other. When you inhale next time, lift your chest up. Now take your fingertips or palms just behind your shoulders, a little wider than your hips. Push down through your feet, lift through the center of your chest. And if anyone would like to bring their palms down and lift their hips up and make this tabletop pose, you're also welcome to do that with your gaze forward or up towards the ceiling. Slowly ease your hips down. All right, come onto your back. And as you lie down onto your back, bring one of the hard blocks close to you, or if you have a pillow that can work too, Bend your knees so the soles of your feet are flat to the ground, and then move your hips slightly off to the right. And lift your feet up. If you wish, the block can go between your knees and roll over onto your left. So we're coming into a twist, but I'd like you to actually let your right shoulder lift a fair bit off the ground, and then shrug your left shoulder underneath you. Extend your left arm out to the left. We're going to do some shoulder circles with your right arm. So you could think of this like you're doing backstroke with a bend in your elbow. Bring your right elbow out ahead of you so you can see it, and then lift it up over your head. And then as you take it open further to the right, maybe you roll your right shoulder back. Your gaze can even go to the ceiling, and then draw your right elbow down. It sweeps past your rib cage eventually, starting the circle again. Yeah, so just really take your time. If you like, you can let your fingertips drag around on this open circle that moves over your body and off towards the side, up overhead and around. The next time that your right hand comes close to your hip, let's switch directions. So this is a little more like front crawl. It moves wide up to the side, up overhead, ahead of your chest, down past your hip. And take that style of circle a couple more times. Now, the next time your right arm is extended to the right at its widest point, let's leave it there to hold in the twist for a few breaths. If it feels like a bit too much to hold your body in this way, you can bend your right elbow and take your right hand towards your hip or your lower back. If you'd like to add a little bit more twist through your upper back and neck, then you can turn your head towards the right, away from your knees. One more breath. Okay, bring your gaze back up to the ceiling. Create some steadiness by pushing down through both arms and lift your knees up to center. And then bring your feet down, lift your hips up, draw your hips over towards the left this time. Lift your feet away from the ground and bring your knees down towards the right. So as your knees near the ground, if the block is slipped out of place, it could come between your knees again. Take your right arm off to the right. Our left arm is the one we'll move first. And so bring a bend into your left elbow to start. Take your left elbow in front of your chest, and then gradually lift your left elbow up overhead, draw it open towards the left, and then down towards your hip, out ahead of you again. So there's a circle. It's kind of like a very soft backstroke motion. It wouldn't get you too far if you're in a swimming pool, but we're instead working to open our shoulder, bringing mobility to the shoulder. So if you find your hand tracing the ground, and that can be also a way just to track the movement. Next time that your hand brushes past your hip, we'll create the other direction of motions. Your arm opens back and towards the left, then comes overhead, and then out ahead of your chest. Take a couple more circles like that. Next time your arm sweeps around at its widest point to the left, then let's leave it there, although you can adjust, of course. So if it feels like too much stretch through your left shoulder and chest, or even just too much torque into the twist, then bring a bend to your elbow and place your left hand to your hip or your lower back. Your gaze can be up towards the ceiling, or if you wish, turn your gaze away from your knees towards the left. Next exhalation settles, get steady through your arms. Lift your knees back up to center. The block can be left behind now. And bring your feet down. Bring your hips into the middle of your mat. And then simply bring your knees in towards your chest. Help your spine come back to neutral from side to side. There's no twist anymore. Yeah, if you'd like, you can even lift your head and bring your nose up towards your knees if you're comfortable in your neck and upper back. And this will lead us into Shavasana. So as you're ready, lie down and extend your legs out. Take up some space, bring your arms wider. You're also welcome to place a bolster or pillow underneath your knees or something warm over your body to help keep you calm. As you find your way towards stillness, tuck your shoulder blades underneath you. This is just as we did when we were sitting at the beginning of class, creating space to breathe. And speaking of breath, let's take one deep clearing breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Shavasana. Shavasana as long as you can. When it's your time to leave the pose, bring a bit of movement into your body, your fingertips, your toes. Extend your reach with your arms back and your toes forward. Roll off your back, roll over to your side. Moving slowly, bring yourself up gradually, up to a seat. So as you find your seat, bring your palms together to heart center. And take a moment to acknowledge your attention and your effort. And thank you for sharing this practice. Namaste.